Sam. Sam. Hey. Say hey, Daddy. Can you count? Can you count? Wait, how can you count? How high can you count? You can count higher than that. How many headbands do you have on the table?
1, 2, 3, 4.
To the object in orbit with us.
8.
We will remove the human
8.
colonists from the adjoining solar system.
I only see 4.
Please tell us.
1, 2, 3, 4. Can you count them again?
Is that a signal?
How many headbands?
You do anything about painting yet, dear?
No.
Are you going to?
Not if I can forget it.
Not.
Promote true worship. Please heed the following reminders. No one will be allowed on the stage or near the stage to take pictures during the drama. The attendants will see that photographers do not block the view of any section of the audience. Flashbulbs should not be used as they cause distraction and are of no value at a distance. Brother Paul Ruggles is a former missionary to Colombia, South America, and he spent many years on the road for the society as a circuit overseer and a district overseer. He is now with the Collins Park congregation in Conway, and he is the director of this year's drama. Let us give him our rapt attention as he introduces the drama, Set Free to Promote True Worship. Brother Ruggles.
Freedom. How that word rings with hope in the hearts of those oppressed. They long for a time and place where no unjust, unnecessary, or unreasonable limits are forced on them. The afflicted, caged by tyrannical rule, seek to escape its harshness. The poor, strapped by economic bonds, desire to break loose from their poverty. The socially downtrodden, they yearn to receive fair and equal treatment. During the past 2 years, amazing changes have struck the entire earth, removing barriers once considered impregnable. How will true Christians affected by such changes respond to their newly found freedom? Will they view it as a grand opportunity to promote zealously the true worship of Jehovah God? Or what about worshipers of Jehovah residing in lands where there has been relative freedom from one? How are they using their freedom? To serve God or to serve self? Are they self-sacrificing in their efforts to please God? All of us need to remember the Apostle Paul's fine advice to Christian residents of Galatia. He wrote at Galatians 5:13, "You were, of course, called for freedom, brothers. Only do not use this freedom as an inducement to the flesh or for the flesh, but through love, slave for one another. Another apostle, Peter, counseled, be free people, and yet holding your freedom, not as a blind for badness, but as slaves of God. Not all freedoms result in true liberty. Compared to freedom Jehovah brings, the freedom of this world is limited in scope. Using wisely the freedom Jehovah gives brings happiness, whereas using the world's freedom for one's own selfish pursuits ultimately brings oppression and sadness. Which of these two courses will you pursue? The Jews living in ancient Babylon under Persian rule were faced with the challenge of a newly found freedom. Would they use their liberty to advance true worship? When Ezra sought volunteers to return to the center of true worship in Jerusalem, only a few responded. Why? And as for us, what new freedoms may now we avail ourselves or are available to us? And how will we use such freedom? The drama you are about to see not only will answer those questions, but will also help all of us to see how we can use our Christian freedom to promote true worship.
Oh, he was? Yes, his new bicycle is very nice, thank you. You think he's gone to Dave and Jim's home to show them his new bike? Do you have their telephone number? They don't have a telephone yet. Yes, if he doesn't come home soon, I'll call you again.
Here he comes, Mom.
Excuse me, Phoebe sees him riding into the driveway now. Thank you, Anna. Goodbye.
Hi, Mom. Oh, hi, Dad. Uh-oh, I think I'm in big trouble.
When aren't you in trouble?
Where have you been, Philip?
Philip, come here. You have a lot of explaining to do. You have worried your mother and me half to death, not to mention your grandparents.
Aw, Dad. I'm sorry. I really am. It won't happen again. But I wanted to show all the kids in the congregation the new bike Grandpa and Grandma got me. And when I got to Dave and Jim's house, I guess I just lost track of what time it was. You see, if they buy my old bike, I could use the money to buy those new high-top sneakers. All the kids at school wear them.
Dave and Jim? Didn't their family recently move into our congregation's territory?
Yes, but only the two boys attend the meetings. Their parents are not believers.
That's why I want to sell them my old bike, so they can run to the Kingdom Hall and not miss a single meeting. But Dave told me their dad is out of work, and they don't have the money.
Have you thought about letting them borrow your old bike?
Oh, Grandpa, if I do that, how will I ever get the money to buy those new sneakers? Well, anyway, Grandpa, is that new bike neat? You should see how fast.
Philip, I think it's time you washed up for supper, then gave your mother a hand. I don't know what we're going to do with that boy.
Son, don't be too hard on him. He's only a boy.
Dad, I think Philip has a serious hearing problem.
Hearing problem, Phoebe?
He never listens to anybody.
Well, Phoebe, you must have had the same hearing problem just a few years ago, because you were the same way.
Andrew, I think it runs in our family.
What do you mean, Mother?
Andrew, remember the time we bought you that new ball?
Oh, Father. Why, that must have been 30 years ago.
31 to be exact.
Yes, do I remember.
What happened, Dad?
No, you don't want to hear about it.
Oh, yes, I do. It sounds interesting. Tell me, please.
Well, I pestered your grandparents all summer long for a new ball. Finally, they surprised me with a brand new one.
I can still remember how white and shiny it was. I was so excited that my friend Sammy and I stayed outdoors playing until we could hardly see the ball anymore. It was way past sunset.
I bet you got into trouble with Grandpa.
Did I ever? Your grandpa gave me a beating that I never forgot, and then sent me to bed without supper. I guess I kind of got off easy, since Grandpa didn't know that I'd already had supper at Sammy's house.
I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Saved by the bell. I'll get it. It's probably for me. I've been expecting a phone call. Excuse me.
Grandpa, can we talk for a few minutes? I need your advice.
Sure, how can I help?
Grandpa, graduation is just 2 months away, and I can't wait.
Yes, and your grandmother and I are very proud of you. You've studied hard and have done well with your lessons. You've always been near the top of your class.
Soon, no more homework. Finally, I'll be free. What a great feeling. But the problem is, well...
What to do with that freedom?
That's it, Grandpa. I used to be so sure about what I wanted to do in life. But now, I'm not so sure. I mean, my whole life is ahead of me. It scares me sometimes.
Planning your future can be a bit scary. That's why it's so important to plan to use your freedom wisely.
What do you mean, Grandpa?
You see, Phoebe, not all freedoms really mean true liberation. Some people use their freedom to serve themselves, but we want to use our freedom to serve Jehovah, don't we?
Well, I know I should pioneer, but I don't know if I'm ready for it. You see, I don't want to be a financial burden on Mom and Dad. And I was thinking that if I become a medical technician or something like that, I'll be able to support myself.
But wouldn't that involve more schooling and expenses?
Yes, Grandpa, but I have saved up money for most of the schooling cost.
Have you given any thought to the type of association you would have?
Yes, but I wouldn't have to associate with the students any more than I did in high school. And since I would live at home and commute to school each day, I could steer clear of after-school activities. Besides, even if I pioneered, I would have to work to support myself. I'd still have to watch my associations.
What about part-time jobs, like house cleaning or sales?
I looked into that already. In our area, the job market is small, so I wouldn't earn enough money to support myself. But as a medical technician, I could easily find a part-time job and then regular pioneer. I even worked out a schedule that would let me auxiliary pioneer while I'm going to school. And if some unexpected expenses come up, maybe Mom and Dad can help out.
It seems like you have already done a lot of thinking about this. However, when we make plans for the future, we must entrust our affairs to the Lord. Remember this proverb? Roll your works upon Jehovah himself, and your plans will be firmly established.
Mary, Elizabeth is growing up so fast. Isn't she going to start school this fall?
Yes, Mother, and I have mixed feelings about that. I'll really miss having her around all day. But there is a bright side. I'll have more free time on my hands.
What will you do?
I've been thinking about pioneering, but I can't do it alone. Who would be my partner? Or I could take on a part-time job. The family can use the extra money. For one thing, we could sure use some new furniture.
We can all use some more money. But usually I found that the more money I have, the more I spend. So I still end up not having enough money.
How true.
Honey, I knew it. That was Mr. McGee on the phone, the president himself with the McGee Insurance Agency.
Mr. McGee, what did he want?
He offered me a job with his firm. I would be making more money and have a better position to boot.
Do you think you'll take him up on the offer?
I don't know. It sure is tempting. How does this sound? Andrew H. Brown, Vice President of Sales.
My, that does sound impressive. But Andy, I love you with or without a title.
I know, honey. But the new job might give the family the freedom to buy some of the things we need. And my new position may allow me more free time to spend with the family. Out in service, of course.
Remember, son, material freedom and being free to worship Jehovah are not the same thing.
Ah, isn't that interesting?
What do you mean, Father?
It seems as if everyone in our family is faced with the same issue. How will we use our newfound freedom? Even Philip faces that challenge.
Am I in trouble again?
No, Philip. But you have to decide how you will use the freedom the new bicycle gives you. The same goes for all of us. Will we use our freedom in a good way or a selfish way? Will we use our freedom to promote true worship?
Father, it sounds like you're trying to tell us something.
Yes, son. Your mother and I have future plans too. I've been retired for 5 years, but I've been thinking of using that freedom a little differently now.
How so?
Well, our circuit overseer has invited Martha and me to serve where the need is greater.
Don't you think that...
That we're too old? Is that what you're trying to say, Mary?
Oh, I know. I mean...
Don't worry, Mary. That's what Martha said when I first told her. But we're both in excellent health. Besides, we won't have to go very far away. We'll simply be transferring to the newly formed South congregation.
Father, that's 20 miles farther than you travel now. More than 100 miles a week round trip.
Well, John, our son does have a point. It will be an added expense.
And what about the grandchildren? Won't you miss being able to see them at every meeting?
We would miss you, both of you.
Me too.
You know we'll miss all of you. And our little Elizabeth. How I look forward to our special hug at every meeting.
Uh-oh. I can see Grandpa has that faraway look in his eyes.
It always means he's thinking about some Bible event or character. Every time you have a problem, Grandpa, you always seem to find just the right Bible story.
Well, not every time, but almost every time.
Who are you thinking about now, Grandpa?
I was thinking about how much our situation is like the one faced with Jews exiled in Babylon during Ezra's day.
Father, how in the world are you going to make the story of Ezra fit our situation?
Ezra wrote a Bible book, didn't he, Grandpa?
Ezra was a scribe and a priest.
I didn't ask you.
You're both right. Apparently, Ezra also wrote the books of Chronicles. He lived under the reign of the Persian king Artaxerxes during the 5th century BCE.
Wasn't that after a remnant of the Jews returned to Jerusalem when Jehovah set them free from Babylonian captivity?
Yes, I remember. They were liberated so that they could restore pure worship at the temple in Jerusalem.
Right. But by Ezra's day, almost 70 years later, the temple was somewhat in disrepair and the walls of the city were still crumbled.
As I remember it, there just weren't many Jews living in Jerusalem.
Yes, Judah was sparsely settled, and those living there had a very hard life. On the other hand, those living in Babylon under Persian rule had a very comfortable way of life.
Oh, I see. What would the Jews living prosperously in Babylon do when offered the freedom to go to the run-down city of Jerusalem?
In other words, would they give up their creature comforts for the rugged life in Jerusalem?
Precisely. True worship involves sacrifices. Would they be willing to make them? And don't forget about the Nephilim. Now, under Persian rule, they had the opportunity for freedom from slavery. Would they too leave the comforts of Babylon and give up the chance for personal freedom in order to promote true worship?
Grandpa, who were the Nephilim?
They were not Jews. They were the slaves who assisted at the temple.
Did they go back? What happened, Grandpa?
like a drunken fool. Going back to Jerusalem? What for? That city is nothing more than a pile of rocks with hardly an inhabitant.
Josiah, how can you speak of the holy city like that? You, a Jew. There is where the true God Jehovah has his house. And Ezra the priest is seeking to mobilize all who are willing to return to the holy city so that they can rebuild her neglected walls and beautify God's house. He wants fully to restore true worship at the temple.
Yes, I know. Ezra's zealotry burns white hot. But you do not have to actually be in the city of Jerusalem to worship Jehovah. My people have been in Babylon for over 100 years. And look how prosperous many have become. Surely Jehovah has blessed them. Some live in large houses, others have businesses. Do you believe that they would trade ivory and wood-paneled houses for mud huts made with sticks?
David said that Jehovah is delighted with sacrifices of righteousness. I believe that those who are able and of righteous heart will gladly volunteer to leave Babylon and return to Judah.
Don't quote David's Psalms to me, you temple slave. You are one of the Nephilim. I am a circumcised Jew.
Good day, Josiah. You too, Uzziah.
Good day, Ariel.
You look puzzled, Uzziah.
Josiah doubts the wisdom of returning to Jerusalem. He believes that Ezra is overly zealous about Jehovah's worship.
No, Uzziah, you have misunderstood me. Ariel, I was trying to get Uzziah to think about the consequences of leaving his home in Babylon with the comfort and security it offers him for the precarious unknowns of Judah. Never would I downplay the importance of worship to Jehovah.
Then you are willing to leave Babylon and return to Judah with Ezra and the rest of us?
Well, one must not be hasty with such weighty decisions. After all, I was born here in Babylon, like you in Zion. I have many friends here, and I have my family and business here. To go to a foreign land? Well, I would disappoint those left behind. Well, surely Jehovah would not want that.
I'm sorry, Josiah. I do not and cannot agree with you. First of all, Judah is not a foreign land. Babylon is the foreign land. Judah, with its holy city, is our real home. We who are able must take advantage of the freedom we now have and make whatever sacrifice it takes in order to return to the center of pure worship.
What of those who cannot make the trip?
True, there may be some whose circumstances do not permit them to join those of us who are returning. But let them at least zealously encourage and support us.
I may be a mere temple slave, but I long for my people to be busy again in the temple courtyard. If you need my help, I am ready and willing to go.
Well and good for you, Zion. But have you thought about your family? As one of the heads of the Nephilim, you don't want your offspring to remain slaves forever, do you? Here in Babylon, you are free from temple duty as a slave. And as you are well aware, Persian law allows you to become a free man. If you return to Jerusalem, you and your offspring will forevermore be mere slaves.
My family and I are proud to slave for Jehovah. Our forefathers were among the first of the Nephilim to return to the holy city with the remnant 70 years ago. And as for me and my household, we would rather be slaves in Jehovah's tent than roam free in the land of the wicked.
You yourself well know, Josiah, that true freedom cannot be found outside the boundaries of true worship.
Ariel, Josiah, here comes Ezra.
Good day, Ariel.
Have you met Josiah?
Yes, I know him quite well, thank you. And Zion, I know of your good reputation as a family head of the Nephilim. Your family's zeal for pure worship is also well known.
You are kind, Ezra.
We have heard that you are to meet with the king today.
Yes, that's true. I'm on my way to King Artaxerxes' palace now. Ariel, as one of the heads of our people, can I count on your support? And you too, Zion, if needed, will you join us in returning to Jerusalem?
Yes.
Yes, I and my people, my lord. Just tell us when.
And what about you, Josiah? Are you willing to make the needed sacrifices and return to Jerusalem with us?
Why, yes, of course. What could possibly hold me back from putting Jehovah's interests first, except, suppose the king refuses to help you. I mean us, in the journey to Jerusalem.
Says the proverb, a king's heart is as streams of water in the hand of Jehovah. Everywhere that he delights to, he turns it. If Jehovah sets us free for his worship, nothing can stop us, except our own fears.
I hear tell, Ezra, that on the road back to Jerusalem, there lurk violent, marauding bands. Not to mention wild beasts, like lions. Do you suppose, perhaps, this may not be Jehovah's time for us to return, that we may needlessly be exposing our families to danger?
If our great God could deliver our forefathers out of the trap of the Egyptians at the bank of the Red Sea, and if he could deliver our forefathers out of the iron grip of the Babylonians, do you not think that he can shield us on a wilderness road to Jerusalem? Jehovah's hand is not short for those who promote true worship.
If Jehovah is for us, who can be against us?
Before you take your leave, Ezra, one other question. Not that I have doubts, but I have heard some of the less prosperous ask, we have little in the material way. How can we afford such a long journey? Also, when we arrive, what animals will we sacrifice on the temple's altar? The scrawny cattle of Judah?
I have wondered about that too, Ezra. How will we, the Nephilim, afford to pay the tax and the toll demanded at the road stations and river fords?
I have wondered about those questions too, and I do not have an answer yet.
Dispatch our most trusted general, Megabesus. Crush Athens now, O king. Now before the Greeks become more ambitious and swallow your royal empire in a single gulp.
With all due respect, my king of kings, Artaxerxes, I believe Roxanes may have gulped a bit too much wine at dinner today. He may be chief of the guard, but his tactics betray a cloudy mind. He would have Persia battle the Greeks and the Egyptians simultaneously. And what army can win a battle on two fronts?
Themistocles, you are as slippery as Greek olive oil. It was you who caused 1/3 of our fleet, 200 ships to be destroyed at Salamis. Oh, king, how can you trust the words of this exiled Greek?
O king of kings, although young in years, your wisdom is as pure as the wisdom of the ancient gods. I was a dear friend of your father, the great Xerxes. My message urging him to attack at Salamis was sent in good faith. I risked my life for Persia. I'm a friend of Persia.
Ah, that is because you have no friends elsewhere.
Enough of this bickering. Although Themistocles is Greek, he has learned to speak Persian. He has the honorary title of king's friend.
Well, what does the king's friend suggest we do about the revolt of Athens in Egypt?
Speak, Themistocles.
Let Greek battle Greek. Greek nationalism is confined to the individual city-states. Hence my strategy is to pit Sparta against Athens.
And how may this be done?
Oh, by using Persian diplomacy, backed as ever by Persian gold. Sparta needs money to defeat Athens. Send General Megabesus to Sparta with gold.
Then who will contain that rebel Egypt?
O King of Kings, excuse me. Ezra has arrived.
Allow him to enter.
Who is this Ezra?
He is priest and religious leader of the Jews.
Speak, Ezra. Let the king himself live to time indefinite. Your forefathers have been kind and generous to our people, and you have followed in their footsteps. Your rulership of 7 years has been one marked by zeal for the public good. What do you seek from me? If to the king it does seem good, and if your servant seems good before you, I request that you would send me to Jerusalem, the city of my forefathers. It has been 69 years since a remnant of my people returned to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple and restore the worship of our God Jehovah. However, for his worship to prosper, the people need teachers and magistrates so that the law of Jehovah can be taught and followed. Also, the people need priests and Levites to officiate at the temple. And for the temple to be used, it needs utensils and materials for repair.
Oh, King, the Jews are a populous people. How can we let them all go? Do we not need them here to defend Persian soil?
My king, the Jews have lived here for decades. They have well-established homes and businesses. Some are old. They will not travel. Some are minor officials in your administration. They will not leave. The way to Jerusalem is at least a 4-month journey, fraught with peril and through a barren wilderness. Few will undertake it.
If you let more Jews return to Judah, they might conspire with Egypt and rise up as one against you, O king.
If you, Roxanus, were as adept as...
O Jehovah,
as you are...
may the heart of this king be as streams of water in your hand.
Even of a great child.
O King of Kings, your young men are known for 3 things only: riding, archery, and truth-telling. The Jews are known for one of those 3, truth-telling. It is part of their law. They will not rebel. Would it not be advantageous to your vast empire if the law of Jehovah was established in Judah?
Advantageous, ha! How so?
Well, such a measure would foster peace and security among the inhabitants of Judah. That area will become one of your most politically stable ones, and it would result in greater loyalty of your subjects to you, O king.
Ah!
A friendly Judah on the flank and rear of your empire would be a strong buffer against the war chariots of Egypt, perhaps even a military necessity.
Yes, but more importantly, their God, Jehovah, is a powerful one. Perhaps I may incur his favor.
But surely, O king.
I have made my decision. Let it be decreed. Artaxerxes, the king of kings, to Ezra the priest. An order has been put through that everyone in my realm of the people of Israel, and their priests and Levites that is willing to go to Jerusalem with you should go. Bring the silver and the gold that the king and his counselors have voluntarily given to the God of Israel. Accordingly, you will promptly buy with this money bulls, rams, lambs, and their grain offerings and their drink offerings, and you will present them upon the altar of the house of your God. Let all be done with zeal for the house of the God of the heavens, that there may occur no wrath against the king's realm and his sons. And you, Ezra, appoint magistrates and judges, that they may continually judge all the people that are beyond the river. And anyone that has not known the law of your God, you men will instruct. And as for everyone that does not become a doer of the law of your God, and the law of the king, let judgment be promptly executed upon him.
All peace to you, good King Artaxerxes. Our people are poor, and the journey long, and the holy city sparsely settled. Into your mercy we entrust our lives.
Then let it also be decreed, and to you men it is being made known that as respects any of the priests and the Levites, the musicians, the doorkeepers, the Nethinim, and the workers of this house of God, no tax, tribute, or toll is allowed to be imposed upon them.
Blessed be Jehovah, the God of our forefathers, who has put such a thing into the heart of the king, to beautify the house of Jehovah which is in Jerusalem.
disappointment in your eyes? Look, laid out before us on the banks of the river Ahava are the tents of our people, clustered by families like flocks of sheep. You should be joyful. Instead, you are sad. What's bothering you?
Oh, it's nothing.
No, I can tell. Something is not right. Has your inspection of the families revealed something that disturbs you?
Yes, Arya. After 3 days of walking through the camp, inspecting our entourage of returning families, and adding up the number...
I told you so. I told you so. We have no priest for the temple. Jehovah is not with our caravan. We will never make it safely to Judah.
Is that true, Ezra?
Yes and no. First, Jehovah has not abandoned us. But I must admit, although we have counted some priests among the ranks, not one of the non-priestly Levites is among them. So far, they have not volunteered.
Those Levites are smart. They do not want to leave their security and position in Babylonia for the insecurity of menial duties in the temple.
Perhaps so, Josiah, but such reasoning is hardly smart. For our worship of Jehovah to mean anything, we must be willing to make sacrifices. And the greater the readiness to sacrifice, the greater the blessing.
I say let us turn around now and head back to the security of Babylon. We could be there in 8, maybe 9 days.
No, Jehovah has set us free to advance his worship, not to go back to the things we left behind. Now is the time for strong zeal for Jehovah, not self-interest. Ariel, you and the 8 other head ones, go to Cassiphia and recruit among the Levites. Also, we'll need more helpers for the temple. See if any of the Nethinim will volunteer.
Consider it done.
Ezra,
I bring good news. 38 Levites and 220 Nethinim with their families have responded, including Zion.
Where you go, Ezra, my family will go.
Thank Jehovah. That will swell our entourage to more than 7,000.
Ezra, listen to this man. He staggered into our camp.
What has happened to you? You look as if you ran afoul of a pack of wild beasts.
Worse. I was ambushed by men fiercer than beasts. My caravan, and I fear that I am the only one to escape with my life. Those bandits plundered all I had.
Who are you? Where did this happen?
I am an Ethiopian, a trader. I was on the trade route, 3 days' journey from here.
That is the same route we are taking. It's not safe.
It's safe only if you have a large band of armed men.
We have none.
Then you men are fools to venture out there.
Ezra, would you lead these helpless sheep to their slaughter? We are nothing but bait for the bandits. With all the gold we are carrying for the temple, we will surely die in the hands of robbers. Turn back before it's too late.
Calm down, Josiah. I told King Artaxerxes that we do not need his military force and horsemen, because I said, the hand of our God is over all those seeking him for good.
Ezra is right. Now is the time for full trust in Jehovah. He protected our forefathers in the wilderness for 40 years.
Surely then, his hand can protect us for 4 months.
Jehovah? I've heard of this God, Jehovah.
You have?
Yes. After Babylon destroyed Jerusalem, some of those inhabitants escaped to my country. I've heard how Jehovah punished their forefathers for disobeying his law, yet delivered them 70 years later. Jehovah is a very strong God.
And his strength will deliver us from the palm of the enemy and the ambush.
Then before we begin our long journey,
Let us now humble ourselves by fasting before Jehovah. Let us beseech from Jehovah his protection for us, for our little ones, and for all our goods. Let us be ready for departure on the 12th day of this month. To Jerusalem we go.
Grandpa, did they make it to Jerusalem? Tell us, Grandpa, tell us.
Yes, Philip, Jehovah was with them all the way. But that doesn't mean things were easy when they got there. Ezra's task had just begun. He still needed to be diligent in advancing the worship of Jehovah.
Wasn't that because the Jews became backsliders and began to adopt the customs of their pagan neighbors?
Yes, that was part of the problem. So Ezra conducted a program of public instruction for the repatriated Jews. He read the law to them, and he explained the law to them, until finally he got the sense of the law through to them.
Didn't that help them make more sacrifices in their personal life?
Yes, that's why they were able to finish the wall around the city in record time, several years later under Nehemiah.
Rebuilding the wall. Didn't that have to do with Daniel's prophecy? The one about the 70 weeks, right, Grandpa?
Why, yes, Phoebe. That prophecy foretold when the Messiah would appear. But the account of Ezra also cast 4 gleams into our 20th century.
Oh, you mean with the anointed brothers of Christ?
That's right, Mary. You see, the 1914 generation was faced with an issue similar to the one faced by the people of Ezra's day.
What issue was that?
The anointed remnant had been set free from religious bondage to Babylon the Great. So the question was, would they use their freedom for expanding the worship of Jehovah or for self-interest?
We in the truth today can be very thankful that the remnant took a firm stand for pure worship in 1919.
Why 1919, Dad?
That was the year Jehovah's worship was exalted again in his great spiritual temple.
You see, Philip, the stage of world affairs called for Jehovah's appointed work to be taken up again, the work of preaching the kingdom good news. And the remnant did not hesitate to use their newly found freedom to preach the kingdom message zealously far and wide.
And today they are not alone. The modern-day Nephilim have joined with the remnant in this important work.
Who are they, Grandpa?
They are the other sheep. Everybody knows that.
I didn't ask you.
Calm down, you two.
That's right, Phoebe. They're the other sheep class. Like the Nephilim, these must use their freedom not for selfish gain, but to expand true worship, following the example of the remnant.
I'm beginning to see Christian liberation in a clearer light. Now is the time to promote Jehovah's worship, and not the time to become overly involved with our jobs, hobbies, or other self-promoting activities.
That's the point exactly. And come to think of it, this would especially be true of our brothers who have recently been liberated in a very literal way. For example, certain countries have suppressed free worship for many years. Our brothers kept busy in God's service, and today some of those countries have opened up and given their citizens a greater measure of freedom.
I get it. Will the brothers living in those countries stay there and use their newfound freedom to promote true worship, or will they seek to increase their own material possessions?
That will be a real challenge for them, dear. They've made so many sacrifices for true worship in the past. I believe they will continue to do so in the future, no matter what circumstances they face.
Jehovah will help them, won't he, Dad?
Of course he will, son. And he'll back us up too, if we continue to put his interest first in our lives.
What's up, Phoebe?
Grandpa, I think I need to look at my priorities again. Maybe I should put in my application for Pioneer Service first and fit any extra schooling I may need around that.
Mother, I think I just may have found that pioneer partner I was looking for.
And what are you going to do about your old bike, Philip?
I knew you were going to ask me that, Grandpa. So I figured it all out while you were telling us the story about Ezra. I'm going to make a sacrifice for true worship. I guess I don't need those new sneakers anyway. I got my new bike as a gift. So why don't I give my old bike to Dave and Jim so they can get to the meetings? Is that okay, Dad?
It sure is, son. Father, I've got to hand it to you. You've done it again. That Bible story got us all thinking about how we can use our freedom.
And if we use our freedom properly, Jehovah will take care of our real needs, including our material ones.
I'm going to examine that job offer carefully and prayerfully to see if it will really give me more time with the family, or only more headaches and heartaches.
Son, now you know why I married your father. Not only for his love for me, but for his strong love for Jehovah. South Congregation, here we come.
Andrew, don't you think we in the family can accompany Mother and Father the first time they attend the New South Congregation?
Of course.
Great idea.
Neat.
There she is. Elizabeth, how was your nap?
Grandma, will you please read this story to me from my book of Bible stories?
I sure will, my little darling. But first, where's my big hug?
Would you look at this? Story 80, God's people leave Babylon.
If you remain in my word, said Jesus, you are really my disciple. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. No matter where we live, our God Jehovah, by means of his Son, has set us free from the very core of human problem, the slavery to sin. Neither are we shackled by false religious doctrine and tradition. A notable change has resulted in our life, namely true liberation. Furthermore, some of us may now have more moral freedom or personal freedom. Therefore, let us be resolved to follow the example of Ezra, who at Ezra 7:10 states, prepared his heart to consult the law of Jehovah and to do it and to teach it. He used his freedom to advance true worship. So did the Nethinim. Let us also follow the example of the anointed remnant, who have been so self-sacrificing in keeping Jehovah's interest always in first place in their lives. Yes, let us show to Jehovah and to the world that we are set free to promote true worship.
Thank you so much, Brother Ruggles. And
Hey, Sam. You said hey today? Hey, baby.
Kick your feet out. Put your feet out in the bed. Go ahead. Kick your feet back outside. Kick your feet.
I think for prosperity's sake.
Go ahead. Okay, you ready? You ready to go up? Close your mouth. Close your
It's not bad, I got you.
Let me show you how to wave. Let me show you how to wave. Oh, yeah. Come on. It's cold.
Extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you on this second day of our Lovers of Freedom District Convention.
All of us present are very happy to welcome this fine group as our new brothers and sisters. We have two questions that you need to answer in a loud, clear voice. I'll ask them one at a time and then just motion for your answer so you can do it together. Question number one. On the basis of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, have you repented of your sins and dedicated yourself to Jehovah to do His will? Question number two. Do you understand that your dedication and baptism identify you as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in association with God's Spirit-directed organization? Well, your clear affirmative answers to these questions indicate that you are qualified for baptism as ordained ministers of Jehovah God. Shall we bow our heads in prayer?
She's a quick changer, though.
She's a fish. Look at her, she don't want that water. Turn around and turn it all over to her. All right, hit the thing, brother. How you doing, Leo? How you doing? Good to see my brother. Yes, I got a good size. I guess it's a fish, man. her sister gonna pick up. She gonna be full of that one. Yeah. Yeah, baptized me about 3 times.
You were fighting them, huh?
I didn't want to give it up.
gonna shove somebody else in front, or she'll go up next. You know Dave's making your picture?
Where's Mickey Mouse, Sam?
Some pearls. The orange keep going home, but she said no. Mom! Mom, can we bring them home if they're open? Like this one? We're allowed to bring them home. You have to get out in the water and throw these bags that weren't closed. And they're not apart, okay?
Our kids ended up looking like
Aw, she's so sweet.
How old are your children?
Oh, 16 and so Shannon's gonna be 14, and we've got 7 boys.
Still trying?
No, I wasn't trying to. Can I get this on camera? You can put this down. You know why we have 4 kids? Because we didn't want 5.
Do you want me to set the rest of the stuff somewhere else?
Get it popped through and through. Get it boiling through and through.
You again. Go away.
Mine is toastier.
What happened to the end of yours?
I bit it. Hold on and pull the split.